Living African podcast.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Living African Podcast. I am your host, Anya Fombat, and I am here with my granddad today. And this is a conversation that I'm super excited about because I get to talk with my granddad more than I have ever done in my life before. So I have here with me Dr. Wilfred Asombang, who's my granddad, and I am happy to have you here, Granddad. How are you doing today?
Well, I'm okay. My granddaughter, my baby. No, I'm in Zambia, in Lusaka. And, of course, I'm Cameroonian
Yeah.
by birth.
Yeah.
I've been in Zambia for quite some years, way back. First visited Zambia way back in 1977 for an interview with the United Nations.
Yeah.
This is for Namibia. And I'm still in Zambia now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Nice. And you said you worked for the UN from 1977 to when?
Well, I had interview in 1977, but I started work in 1979.
Right.
Started 79 effectively, and then I retired from the UN in 2002.
2002.
And then, yes, and then I was hired. Then I was hired again by the African Union to serve on peacekeeping missions. Peacekeeping mission, the first one was in Burundi, and then Rwanda, and then of course Sudan.
Right.
The last one was Sudan, and then I finally retired in 2006 from the African Union.
Right.
And since then I've been more or less a freelance consultant
Nice.
in economic affairs, precisely integration and so on in Africa. Yeah.
Awesome. You have such a story and I can't wait to dive into it. So let's take it up, let's take it back a few steps. So where were you born? What was your family dynamic like growing up? I mean, of course, I know you were born in Cameroon, but where exactly? And what was your family dynamics and, just your upbringing as a whole?
Very good. I was born in Bengui. Bengui has 2 quarters. My quarter is Acha Quarter Mbengui. Momo Division, as people know it today, Momo Division, of course, Bamenda, Northwest. I'm 80 years old now. And, my father is late, and my mother is late as well. It's a polygamous background. Those of you who are familiar with the Momo, area, this is the Asombang family. We have Asombang, then you have the Njokum. These are the two people who are here in Bengui.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Nice. So how was, how were you raised? When did you even start school? I know back then people started school late, right? So when did you start school? How was the community like back then?
Yeah, way back in the 50s, we have a Presbyterian. They used to call it Basel Mission School, not a kindergarten, not just not far from where the phone of Mbengui, from Jokum, just on top there, started primary school, the Basel Mission School, there in Mbengui.
Right.
I was one of the very few in 1950, and then completed. In fact, I was with the Jack Fombard and so on.
Yeah.
And they completed from the, we had a nursery school, that's a preschool as it were, right in Bengu itself, just next to over the chief's palace. And then there's a Basel Mission School, which is which was taken out from grade one to grade 6. And that is, they call it Basel Mission School in Bengui. And when I completed in Bengui, in those days, we had in Cameroon, had only 2 secondary schools. One in Bali, that's for the Basel Mission, and the one in Sase for the Catholics. So you can imagine that there were only 2 secondary schools in British Cameroon at the time.
Right.
And so the exams, it was very, very difficult to get in. And so we had Omwa here, in Nigeria, and then we had Owerri also in Nigeria. And so those who could not get into Bali or could not get into Sase, we had to go to Enugu, there to, and then or to Owerri. But in my case, I went to Lagos, Agege, they call it Agege College, Lagos. It's about 14 kilometers from the center of Lagos. So that is, it was not easy in those days, actually. It's just two secondary schools. Can you imagine?
I know.
You know? Yeah.
So when you were done,
we went to Nigeria. Those who were able to manage it.
Yeah. So when you were done with secondary school and high school, what college did you go to?
Then when I was done with that, I went to India. I got a scholarship to go to India. There was only one scholarship. They called it Jawaneru scholarship. And I happened to have the only one with GC advanced level.
Wow.
The selection was done in Lagos. The application went from Cameroon to Lagos. And I was selected, and I went to India to the University of Pune on Jawaneru scholarship, where I did a Bachelor of Commerce honors degree.
Wow.
With an advanced accounting and auditing, in those days.
Wow. So were you the only sibling amongst your siblings that, or at least were you the first person that went that far in education?
That's correct. In fact, in the whole of Bengue, the first to go to Bali was Fomukong, Michael Fomukong. He went to Bali, then I went to Nigeria, and then Michael Fokam, he went to Bali. So there are three of us. The eldest, Fomukong, I was second, and then Fokam was third.
Wow. So
yeah.
Considering the lack of resources and the fact that you were probably like the very first in the family to have education, especially to that level of advancement, what was your motive? Like, what motivated you to seek that level of education, and what really kept you focused despite all the hurdles? Like, what made you push through to be a success story today?
Yeah, it's my late father, actually. My late father, the way he brought me up, the way he brought us up, was that he emphasized hard work before pleasure. Hard work before pleasure. Now, he was the first to bring coffee to Momo, to Mbengui there, and then to the whole of Mbengui, the villages. He brought, he was a coffee farmer. In fact, because he had his own background was that he was conscripted into the army and went to Gold Coast in those days as a truck driver. And so he came back with one thing in mind. When he was brought back to succeed his own late father, his motto was, my son, the first thing in life is work, hard work on your own. So every morning he used to get us up, the men, the males especially, you get us up and we start work. We have started farming in the coffee farm. And then after midday, then we say, okay, now it is time to eat. You see? So and his motto was, the first thing in your life is work. Be very, very honest in what we are doing. And then after work, then you can have pleasure. Don't start with pleasure. And so we started a very, 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 very tough life, as it were. You know, a very, very tough life. You would say go to the farm and do things and so on, and then we will get back home. Now, I happen to have been brought up like, I don't know if I mentioned it, in a polygamous family. Now, you know, in a polygamous family, you have one father and you have many mothers. One father and many mothers.
Yeah.
You see? And those mothers, they treat all the children like their own children. They don't make a distinction that this one is that and so on. They treat all of us as one. They don't belong, they're our mother. So in those days, it's very difficult to say, oh, okay, this is my mother or this is this. Because when it comes to eating, we all eat in my father's house. The moment in your father's house. And you call every woman mother. Every woman calls you child.
Yeah.
And so that was the way we were brought up to hard work. But there was one thing too, he too had in mind. He did say that, oh, look, my son, I wish I went to school. So the first thing in your life is you have to go to school, accomplish what you can, and then you can then enjoy yourself the way you want. For instance, marriage was not anything private in his mind. He never even mentioned it. So he treated me like he was treating under complete, absolute control. You know, there was no time I ever spent a night outside the compound.
Yeah.
It was discipline. Discipline was on top of everything. Now the challenge came because of this, for the fact that there were only two secondary schools, and when I took the want to go to Bali, I didn't succeed. I took there was an examination that came from schools in Nigeria, and I took and I succeeded on scholarship.
Wow.
You see, I was on scholarship. Although when I got to it was not easy for him to let me go, because he did say that, no, if you go and I don't have the money, what is going to happen? You know?
Yeah.
It was his brother, Pa Alexander, one of his brothers, who said, you are saying he shouldn't go, but you were in Gold Coast. This is a man. Let him go. Even if he has no money, he says his scholarship. Whatever little we have, everybody will give something. So they gave me enough to be able to take me transport to Lagos.
Yeah.
But when I got to Lagos, what happened? They closed. Something went wrong, and they closed the school.
Oh no.
They closed the school. Now I was stranded. It was Muna was in power at the time. So they were visiting, then the queen was visiting Lagos. So my father said, no, bring back my son. Bring back my son. When I heard about that, I said, no, I'm not going anywhere. I ran into the bush. I tried to hide myself and so on. And then the king went away and the politicians from Cameroon came by and went. So then I started struggling, working here and there. In fact, in some cases, I was like a street boy, begging here and there. But so I remember what my daddy said: work before pleasure. Work. and honesty, tell the truth,
Yeah.
and so on, even if you have difficulties. So I
Wow.
remember an incident in Lagos where because I was stranded, I went to the police and said, look, now I don't have anything to, this school is closed. I don't have any food to eat. I don't have anything. Help me. If it means detaining me here, please detain me and give me food. And I will try. I'm not going back to Cameroon. I want really to go to school here. And the police said, why don't you go and commit some crime, do something so we can get you, lock you up and then be able to feed you. My father's spirit just came to my mind. And I told him, I said, no, I would prefer to die than to commit a crime. Because that's what my father told me. The truth should be the way of your life. Even if you make a mistake, you say it. Honesty would save your life, because that's the way he has been brought up. So wherever you go, if there's anything, the truth, honesty, tell the truth, and so on, it will save you. So I told the police, I said, look, this is what I inherited from my father. If you want to help me, help me. But if you say I should commit a crime, I will not. And the police were shocked. But one of them just said they've never had this. And they decided to feed me for free.
Wow.
Out of their own pocket.
That is so interesting.
And then finally, what happened? With all my begging here and my working here, whatever, I was looking for anything to do. I would work, even if it means carrying shit, because in those days, there were no toilets where you flush. You know, I even went for those tests and so on. So I was doing all types of things. And the little money that I was getting, I was always tying it around my waist. Criminality was not as bad as it is today, but I always tied it around my waist. And I was still taking exams. Then I took an exam and passed to Ahmadiyya College. Ahmadiyya College. The little money I had, this is a Muslim secondary school, a Muslim high school in Agege. The little money I had, I was able to pay for the first year. And now, when it came, my father was hearing this at home. He said, no, my son should come back. He is suffering, he's begging, this and that. How can it be? I am here, the president of the coffee cooperative here. How can my son be doing this and so on? So by the second year, then I told the principal, well, there's no way, if I manage to finish this year, I have to go. And I finished the year and I was top of the class.
Wow.
And there were things that went on in the school I didn't even know. Whatever job was available, anybody wanting anything, I will always volunteer. I will always volunteer to do things, anything they wanted to be done, anywhere. They would call, say, what is Wilfred, what is Asombang, that Cameroonian? And so people thought that I was a beggar and so on, but the performance in school in the secondary school was simply incredible. Because for instance, in Arabic, I was the third in a class of more than 30 Muslims. And they couldn't believe this. And the gap between me and the second person was 100. And so they said, no, this one, instead of going to Form 2, we should push him to Form 3. But I told the principal that I don't even have money, I'm going back to Cameroon. He said, okay, we'll think about it. I think he went and worked out. So then they told me, you are not going anywhere because of the type of person you've been. Most sincere, most truthful, most hard-working person, and so devoted. They said that there's no student here who can compare with you. And in the classrooms, you're doing so well that I can't imagine it. They've even decided that instead of you going to Form 2, they should give you the whole promotion. You'll go to Form 3. They'll promote you to Form 3, and they will give you a scholarship. They said the school, it turned out that they told me that the fee that has been paid was contributed by teachers on their own.
Wow.
But now there's someone called M.A. Fagwai, a building contractor, who also had children in that school, in the Ahmadiyya College. And the children were talking too much about me and so on, and that he decided that he would give me a scholarship. For the first time, I was able to wear sandals, Clark sandals, because for the first 2 years in secondary school, I was barefooted, no shoes, nothing, barefooted. I didn't have books, so the library was, I had the key to the library. They say you can be in the library anytime.
Right.
And so on, and so because of the, I got this scholarship because again of hard work and honesty, integrity, and humility, preparedness to help, to work with anybody for always for free, but they always give me something at the end. And then at that time too, I also had the Bible as my pillow. The Bible, the whole of the Bible as my pillow in a Muslim, Muslim school, and the Muslims had no objection, nothing. They just accepted me, everything that I was doing. And instead of going to do a high school for, then there was 6 years, they reduced to 5. I did secondary school only for 4 years and got my West African school certificate, or called it the Cambridge certificate. And because I was in charge of the library, of the laboratory, they nicknamed me doctor. Whenever they wanted anything to be cleaned from the laboratory, whether it was a guinea pig that was slaughtered, or it was flies, or any of these cockroaches, anything that was dirty there, guinea pigs, which I will always be the first to go say I want to clean it. So they also gave me the key to the laboratory, and they're calling me doctor. And that's what. When it was almost getting to the end of when I finished the exams, I said I wanted to do medicine. And the person who had given me the scholarship said, well, I could help, but I also have children with you. There's no way I can help you to go to medical school. What I'll do is I'm prepared to give you a transport so that you can go back to Cameroon and then continue your life from there. And that's what happened. I left Nigeria in early '61. And was back in Cameroon, in Kumba, where one of my uncles, Daniel Yamnu, is fortunately still alive. He made me to join him in tapping palm wine. So I was a palm wine tapper too, in Kumba with the Techaba. And by then my elder brother was in the bush, somewhere in the bush in Kumba. And every time we were tapping this wine, would tap and come and sell in Kumba metal quarters in those days. It was '61. And when in metal quarters, somebody started in this church said, oh, there was a metal group there. He said, how? We understand this man from Nigeria and that he has a school certificate. How can you people make him a wine tapper, going to the farm and tapping wine and so on? And so they said, but what do you want us to do? Someone said, oh, there is Chief Mukete here. He is the chairman of the Cameroon Development Corporation. Can we not take this man to him? I said, this is someone who has a whole certificate from Nigeria. Can you get him a job in the CDC? And so that's how my uncle, he decided that he would take me to Chief Mukete's palace. And Chief Mukete received me very well. And as for my papers, fortunately, the person what M.A. Fagwai had arranged and sent me my certificates and so on. Then I took to Mukete. Mukete said, what? You have high school, secondary school, college, the secondary school college certificate with all these science things and so on, biology, health science, all this passing in this? No. You go from Kumba here, go to the general manager of the CDC and tell him that I have sent you. He gave me a note.
Right. So let's Grandad, let's take a little step back and explain to the non-Cameroonians what all this who all these people and what all these places are. So you said the Meta people. So Meta people, that's basically the tribe, what the people from the tribe, right? So that's where you are from, that's where we are all from, the part of, Cameroon that you were born and where we are from. Now, CDC is a Cameroon Development Corporation. And I think you would probably be at a better position to explain that. And then Chief Mukete back then was the chief of what region in Cameroon?
Kumba.
Okay. Okay.
Kumba is one of the provinces.
Okay. And how will you describe the CDC?
The CDC was actually known as Colonial Development Corporation before 1960, before the plebiscite period. I mean, before we left Nigeria, it was known as Colonial Development Corporation.
Mm-hmm.
Now when Nigeria became free, and Cameroon was now Southwest Cameroon. They then decided that instead of continuing to call it Colonial Development Corporation, they should now call it Cameroon Development Corporation. So the CDC thing was still remaining.
Mm-hmm.
And it was actually it was based not far from the headquarters was not far from the Atlantic Ocean.
Mm-hmm.
The Atlantic Ocean with the border with Nigeria and the East Cameroon or French Cameroon in those days.
Mm-hmm.
You see, that is the CDC. It was very close to the Atlantic Ocean.
Mm-hmm.
And where I came from was very far up north Cameroon.
Yeah.
So this was it was first colonial, and then it became Cameroon Development Corporation.
Right.
And actually it was agricultural. It had all the agricultural products, in Cameroon. So the Cameroon Development Corporation.
Right. So Chief Mukete told you to take your application there.
Yeah, he said I take my application to the headquarters, the gentleman of Cameroon Development Corporation, and tell him that based on my credentials, he should find me a job. He didn't say what job. He just said, because he happens to be a chairman, he was more political. Because when I was in Nigeria, he was already a minister in the House of Assembly. Can you imagine, in Parliament, Nigerian Parliament?
Mm-hmm.
But when we now became on our own, we separated from Nigeria when they got their independence. And I was in Nigeria actually at the time of independence. I was one of the prefects in the school.
Wow.
And so we got independence. So now Mukete is a globe now. Then when I went to general manager, and general manager happens to be, he was a white man at the time, and I went there, he said, oh, okay. He looked at my papers and said, we need a research assistant. We need a research assistant. And there was, you would have to go to TICO because they needed a research assistant. First of all, they want one in rubber trees, and then cocoa trees. They wanted bananas. And they wanted one also in palm trees. So would you mind? Would you accept a position as a research assistant? Given the certificate you have quite a science subject like the chemistry, physics, biology, and so on. You were all in there. So I said yes. Why not? And that's how I got into the CDC as a research assistant in TICO. And I had 20 people to work who I was going to boss them.
Yeah, they were your
And
subordinates.
most of them were like my father.
Oh.
Because they used to call me mosquito. I mean, you can do that some of the things, you know. And so because each time I asked one to climb a tree to go and take the leaves so that we can take to the lab and see how they will be analyzed, they will say, mosquito, you are our boss, but you climb. We cannot climb this thing. You are tiny. You can climb. You are the boss. So, you know, these are some of the interesting things.
Yeah.
So anyway,